The Newsday continues here on One News Now. I'm Diego Castro, bringing you the biggest headlines from around the world. At least 79 migrants drowned and hundreds more were missing and feared dead after their overloaded boat capsized and sank in open seas off Greece. The incident is considered as one of Europe's deadliest shipping disasters in recent years. A European rescue support charity believes around 750 people were on board the 65 to 100 foot long vessel. The UN's migration agency estimated up to 400, while Greece declined to speculate on the passenger count. At least 100 have been rescued by midday on Wednesday. Survivors were taken to the Greek port of Kalamata near Pylos. A media report said the boat left from Libya, while a Reuters source said most of those on board were from Egypt, Syria, and Pakistan. Meanwhile, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said he was horrified over the news. The UN notes that this is yet another example of the need for member states to come together to create safe pathways for people forced to flee their home nations.
The only way we're going to get safe pathways, the only way we're going to avoid people going on these perilous journeys, the only way we're going to get criminal gangs out of this equation is if countries of origin, countries of transit, and countries of destination work together. We have the instruments, the Global Compact on Migration, international refugee law. It's a matter of, in a way, political leadership and political courage and determination.
India and Pakistan are now bracing for the onslaught of a, quote, very severe cyclonic storm developing over the Arabian Sea. India's weather department warned that the storm Biparjoy would damage crops and destroy homes once it makes landfall on Thursday. The Indian state of Gujarat has evacuated around 47,000 as heavy rains begin pounding coastal regions. Pakistan has also taken emergency measures to deal with the accompanying winds and rain that are expected to batter the economic hub that is Karachi. Auditorium halls in schools as well as other government buildings in Pakistan have been converted into relief camps. This to provide shelter to those displaced by the storm. Some 62,000 people have been evacuated from high-risk areas as the storm approaches. As Ukraine's counter-offensive begins, Russia fires cruise missiles at the Ukrainian city of Odessa, killing at least 6 people. The strikes also damaged homes, shops, and cafes in the city's downtown. At least 13 people were wounded as authorities continue to look for survivors. In Donetsk province, shelling destroyed 7 homes and damaged dozens of others. A missile also hit Ukrainian-controlled Kramatorsk, where Kyiv's forces are headquartered. Ukraine said it was able to intercept at least 9 missiles and drones.
Such a powerful wave has never been seen before. Every night we hear shots and explosions, but this was the first time it was so intense. We were all startled. When we went out onto the street, we saw shattered glass on cars, on the guard, throughout the courtyard.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now World. I'm Diego Castro. Abortion rights supporters marched through cities in Poland following the death of a pregnant woman. The victim's family believes that she could have survived had she been offered a termination of pregnancy. Protesters chanted, quote, "Not a single one more," while carrying placards that read, quote, "We want doctors, not missionaries." Abortion rights activists say there were at least 5 cases of pregnant women dying, whose families came out to the media to blame abortion restrictions for their deaths. Here are what some of the protesters had to say with regards to the issue.
I came here because I do not agree with women dying, that they have no choice, that doctors have some conscience clause. If they want conscience clause, they should change their profession. Women are dying because of them and also because of the law that has been established in Poland. No, I don't have yet. I would like to have children very much and to experience pregnancy, give birth to a healthy child without the kind of problems that a few women who we commemorate here today had.
A scientist and climatologist explains the effects of El Nino on climate around the world. Let's watch this video, courtesy of the Associated Press.
El Nino is developing right now, and over the next several months we can expect it to further develop and strengthen into a full-blown El Nino sometime during the later part of this year, probably around Northern Hemisphere winter. NOAA's Climate Prediction Center is forecasting greater than a 90% likelihood that we'll see El Nino conditions over the next year. Regionally, the impacts of El Nino are very interesting and varied across the world. So we call these things atmospheric teleconnections, which means that they are typical relationships in our weather patterns associated with El Nino, and these take on various forms around the world. So for example, Southern California tends to be wet during El Ninos, Alaska tends to have warm winters, as does the upper Midwest, Australia tends to be dry during El Ninos. So these are the typical atmospheric teleconnections we normally expect during an El Nino. El Nino refers to the unusual warming of the tropical Pacific Ocean waters, especially in the eastern and central parts of the basin. And it's part of a natural climate cycle. Every 2 to 7 years, we go from an El Nino state with these unusually warm surface waters in the tropical Pacific to its counterpart, La Nina, which we've just had over the last 3 years. It's unsure how El Nino is tied to climate change. There's been a lot of research on this topic all the way back 25 years ago. I was working on that same question, and at that time it appeared that El Ninos would likely become more common as the Earth warms, but lately the research has been more mixed, and some studies suggest that we'll see more frequent and more intense El Ninos. Others say not so. At this point, the jury is still out on how climate change and El Nino are linked.
And those are the top world headlines of the hour. Join us again at 9 a.m. as we continue to monitor the day's biggest stories. Coming right up is Agenda at 8 a.m. I'm Diego Castro. We are One News. All sides, all the time.